percent. I could go on, not to mention all the farmers in Minnesota. How do you, as a Democratic senator in a Congress that is controlled by Republicans, try to help your constituents?
I've been calling this out for months, not just this week, predicting that this kind of collapse could happen. And sure enough, we're starting to see this biggest hit to the stock market in, well, what will end up being in my lifetime for sure. And the problem is, when you listed those companies, you know what I thought of? I didn't think of their bottom lines as much as I thought of the people I know that work there. I thought of those people that work in the checkout aisles. I thought of the farmers who I saw on a 14-county tour I took in Minnesota who have small farms. Those people are going to be hit right away, Katie. Some of the big companies can handle this for a while, but the workers who may lose their jobs or the farmers who just barely make it and are already having so many headwinds at them with avian flu and input costs and weather events, this is the thing that could put them over. So he is messing around with people's lives. This is not just, well, he's out golfing. This is their entire life, their hard-earned savings. Seniors who are looking at their 401ks or their Social Security numbers and thinking, I'm not going to be able to make it. I worked my whole life. He had better look at this, and he better reverse course, and he better get back on track.
He is golfing today. I have one more question for you, and I'm running out of time. The administration has called this a national emergency, that we need to rehome, make more things here. It's a national security issue as well. Is there any merit to that argument?
Look at what they use. They said any country that we have a trade deficit with, that was a national emergency. Then he's going to slap them with 10 or maybe 20 or 40% tariffs. Completely not helpful. So I don't see that. What I see is you negotiate trade agreements like the USMCA. It's coming up again. That's with Canada and Mexico, right? That's where he should do it. He was proud of that trade agreement when he passed it. And that's how you do things with especially your friends and your allies. What I'm afraid of, Katie, it's not just manufacturing and farming. People are canceling trips to America. 70% of Canadians down canceling trips. That will have a whole nother impact on restaurants and cafes because people who visit from other countries spend an average of $5,000 when they're here. It'll affect retail, everything. So everyone, I'm very glad that some Republicans are standing up, but not enough are. They are not subjects to a king. This is their big test case tonight with this amendment, and it's going to be their big test in the next few days.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, thank you very much for joining us.
It was great to be on.
Interesting the president chose to go play golf today. I mean, does he...
I think long ago he stopped caring about certain optics, and he's made very clear during this presidency he's going to do what he wants. And, you know, it's not just playing golf. He went down to a Saudi-backed golf tournament that his family business does business with to speak at some event related to that. So, yes, all of this.
And did not go to the return of service members.
And did not go to the transfer of the dignified transfer of remains of those fallen service members. He is not messaging this in a way that suggests that he understands what average people might be going through right now. And part of what it is he is convinced he is right. He is convinced he's going to show people he is right. He has believed in terrorists for 40 years. You know, he wanted to do this last time, and he was stymied by a bunch of advisors who were much more pro-free trade. And now he's going to do what he's going to do. He's doing it in a very different economy, post-COVID. He is doing it on a much broader scale with these tariffs. And I think most significantly, Anderson, with a formula that does not make sense to a lot of people. That, you know, once people were looking at what this formula was, it was difficult to comprehend. It's difficult for people in the administration to explain, and they will acknowledge that privately. So whether any of this impacts him and his approval numbers, I think, is the question. If it starts to, then you will possibly see a change.
There were a lot of options he could have done and how the formula was done.
Right.
Do you know much about behind the scenes of how this was chosen?
Yeah, I mean, this was a formula that was. I don't want to botch this, and this is not my area of strength, but I believe that it was the trade imbalance, the trade deficit with a given country, and he's obsessed with the trade deficit with every country he would talk to in the first term. That was what he wanted to know about before he would talk to their foreign leaders, and then it was divided by some percentage of goods, I think, made in the U.S. There were other formulas that were suggested. There were other people who wanted exemptions. There were some people who wanted certain exemptions. There were some people who wanted, commodities to be exempted. There was the auto exemptions discussion for a while. Now you just have these blanket tariffs with huge rates in some cases on goods that are not made in the U.S. in some cases. So it's not even like it's reciprocal.
Maggie, I also want to bring in Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. Mark, you warned about a possible recession because of these tariffs. Do you think as of tonight that's where things are headed? What kind of benchmarks are you looking to that would indicate that?
Yes, I think we're headed down the rabbit hole, very likely. The tariffs are a massive tax increase on American consumers and businesses. I mean, if you do the arithmetic, it's the largest tax increase outside of the Vietnam War and World War II. So it's going to be incredibly difficult for U.S. consumers and business people to kind of digest that. And here's the other thing, Anderson. It's a regressive tax, meaning it really hits low and middle income households a lot harder than high income households. And that's simply because low income households devote a higher share of their budget to imported goods. Just to give you a number, if the president implements all the tariff increases that he's laid forth, the average American household will need to spend $2,100 more a year to buy the same goods that they're buying now. So just kind of think about that in the context of the financial pressure that a lot of households are under. We're going under. And, I can go on and on and on, but we're mostly focused on the near-term consequences of this, but this has enormous long-term consequences. I mean, the secret sauce of the American economy is our stability.
Joining me now, Wisconsin Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin. We appreciate you coming on the show. How do you expect, very specifically, these tariffs to impact your state's economy?
Well, it is going to be crushing. We are a state that grows things and makes things, and obviously everyone has to go to the grocery store. And we've seen this before. In Trump's first presidency, he sparked a trade war. I talked to farmers who are still digging out from the tragedy that was, and now they're looking at it again. Input prices are going to go up for our dairy farmers who get their fertilizer and other inputs from Canada. And our export markets are going to be constrained significantly. I've talked to a lot of farmers who don't know whether they can survive this trade war.
I mean, literally, they don't know if they're going to be able to keep farming?
Absolutely. I talked to a farmer named Linda. She was recalling for me what happened to their family farm during the last Trump trade war. She said they went from having a business with positive margins to being in poverty. She doesn't know if they can last through another one, whether they'll go bankrupt or have to sell the farm. She's very, very concerned about what this means. But I'm hearing from our manufacturers also. We have manufacturers in Wisconsin who get components or raw materials from Canada or Mexico or elsewhere and know that there's going to be tariffs placed on those. Their cost of production is going to go up. Their margins are going to go down. And consumers remind me every day that Donald Trump's promised to lower prices on day one of his presidency, and instead what they're seeing in day 75 is that he is enacting policies that are going to make prices go up for them, and many live paycheck to paycheck. This is really a self-inflicted wound, and it's going to do real harm on Wisconsinites.
Well, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley and Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell introduced that bipartisan bill that would require congressional approval for new tariffs. It won't get through the House. What can, if anything, Democrats do right now?
Look, I think there's a lot of things. First of all, you saw the Senate take a vote earlier this week disapproving of the tariffs on Canada. Sadly, I don't think that the Republicans in the House of Representatives are going to take up the same measure. But we do have to have a congressional response to these tariffs. But the people can also speak up. And, you know, earlier this week, my colleague Cory Booker took to the floor and spoke for 25 hours. But one of the themes he brought back again and again is that the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. And I am hearing from so many thousands of Wisconsinites. They went to the polls on Tuesday this week in record numbers. We've never seen so many express and have their voices and their votes heard. And in every single county, we saw Wisconsinites move away from the Republican Party. And in half of our counties, they did so by double digits. So we see the power of the people right all around us in the state of Wisconsin right now.
So let me ask you about the people, because I think you probably heard me saying that good senator from Virginia says his constituents are freaking out. We just interviewed somebody outside of Macy's in Midtown Manhattan whose businessman said, I was going to buy a car. Now I'm just going to, wait. Story after story after story. What are your constituents telling you, and what's it like in your office for your staff?
Yeah. On a typical day in, say, last year, I would get between 50 and 100 calls a day from people throughout the state. We're getting well over 1,000 every single day, and sometimes several thousand calls a day. And these are speaking out against all sorts of policies that we're seeing from the Trump administration. But the tariffs, I can tell you, for so many, they're saying, I already struggle to pay the grocery bill every week to get.
Nero is fiddling while Rome burns, right? Like you couldn't make this up any better. Like if you could say, okay, we're here at the Democratic Party dream machine. How could we take this day and maximize how much damage it'll do to Trump and the Republicans? And I'm not suggesting that people are happy this is happening, because again, lives are being ruined. Lives are being ruined across the country, across the world. People will lose everything, their jobs, their livelihood, their homes. People are going to get evicted from their houses and stuff if they can't get work after this. This will destroy lives. But like in terms of the optics, it's like Trump isn't doing this and saying, well, I'm going to be working all night in the Oval Office and I'm not going anywhere because I'm going to get America through this. I believe in this plan, but I'm going to get the regular folks through this pain. And we know it would be BS, but like the images matter. Instead, while the millions and millions and millions of Americans and people around the world, billions of people hurt by these moves, literally billions, we're literally billions of people, he goes off to play golf on your taxpayer dollars. Rumors have it at least that these trips cost like $1 million each. Every time Trump goes golfing, it's like $1 million. So yeah, damn right Americans are interrupting this and say, hey, wait, Donald, even if I voted for you, even if I agree to some point with your tariffs, it seems like you're not taking this very seriously. If I'm losing my job at the manufacturing plant, whether it's just temporary or permanently, I expect you to be up all night drinking your Diet Cokes to stay up and doing the work to save our country and to not doom the world. And he is essentially partying while you suffer.